Here's a quick rundown of current news. Now, the European Union has announced that it will be requiring all U.S. citizens to obtain a visa in order to travel to Europe starting in 2024. So if you're going to Spain, Italy, Great Britain, Germany, Austria, if you're going to these European countries, you're going to require a visa because this decision comes in response to the Trump administration decision to impose tariffs on European goods. Good old Kevin Spacey. You know, this particular British actor, Kevin Spacey, he has been cleared of all charges in a sex offense case. Spacey was accused of sexually assaulting 3 men in London between 1996 and 2013. However, the prosecution said that it could no longer proceed with the case due to insufficient evidence. Now, I believe when it comes to anybody else, they would have came up with some sufficient evidence nonetheless. The commander-in-chief's son, Hunter Biden, has appeared in court to plead guilty to tax offenses. Biden is accused of failing to report $1.2 million of income in foreign accounts. He could face up to 5 years in prison. Maybe they were doing some dealing with some Russians. We understand that the war in Ukraine is still occurring. Ukraine counteroffensive intensifies. Thousands of new troops deployed. Ukrainian forces have launched a major counteroffensive against Russian troops in the eastern Donbass region. With thousands of new troops being deployed, the Ukrainian government says that the counteroffensive had been successful and that Russian forces are now on the defensive. For a long time throughout this entire war, these past 2 years or so, we have been constantly lied to that Ukraine was actually pushing Russian forces back. That became untrue. So any new news, any current news that these major news organizations that are put out, I'm just going to wait and see until certain information is exposed or at least verified. The U.S. intelligence reports that China likely is supplying tech for Russian military. A new U.S. intelligence report has concluded that China is likely supplying Russia with technology that could be used to improve its military capabilities. The report said that China is providing Russia with a wide range of technology, including semiconductors, drones, and electronic warfare equipment. Now, if the entire NATO is assisting Ukraine, we can't get mad if China is assisting Russia, because I'm pretty sure it's China and India as well, because last time I checked, those three leaders are always taking pictures with each other, and they're doing major dealings when it comes to technology and imports and exports of certain goods. So if the entire NATO is going to assist Ukraine, I guess India and China is going to assist Russia. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this story. It hasn't really got that much media coverage, but Niger coup supporters set fire to a ruling party headquarters. They said that, the police, they were firing tear gas, rubber bullets, all sorts of things are occurring in Niger at this moment. It says that supporters of the coup that overthrew the government of Niger have set fire to the ruling party headquarters. Police have fired tear gas to disperse the crowd and other sorts of deterrents. Now, a small break in your news. Let's cover cognitive dissonance by Frantz Fanon. Sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. When they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It will create a feeling that's extremely uncomfortable, called cognitive dissonance. And because it's so important to protect the core belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit with the core belief. And we call those coons, sambos, and sellouts, in reference to reparation and Black empowerment. Now back to your news. The CDC gives guidance for trans people chest feeding kids accused of failing to consider possible health risks. So it's the government that's pushing the narrative that trans people, men or women, seems to be as though they're biological, which we know they are not. It states in sections of the Major Health Institute's guidance on breastfeeding, it contained information for those who have had much of their breast removed in gender reassignment surgeries, or for biological men taking hormones to grow breasts, on how to feed their newborn children, which is not biologically possible without involvement of certain said surgeries. If you want to find this information for yourself, it says in the CDC's website section on health equity consideration, found under its infant and young child feeding toolkit, the center declared that transgender and non-binary gender individuals may give birth and breastfeed or feed at the chest, calling chest feed, no longer breastfeed. It is also stated the gender identity or expression of transgender individuals is different from their sex at birth, and that the gender identity of non-binary gender individual does not fit nearly into either man or woman. In addition, it states some transgender parents who have had breast top surgery may wish to breastfeed or chest feed, a term used by some transgender and non-binary parents. Their infants, the CDC website states, healthcare providers working with these families should be familiar with medical, emotional, and social aspects of gender transition to provide optimal family-centered care and meet the nutritional needs of the infant. If you haven't known by now, this world has gotten sick and is being supported and assisted and pushed, propelled, and promoted by the U.S. government. Also in current news, there have been U.S. pilots that come out and state that, yes, we have UFOs. There is extraterrestrial life that's been entering our atmosphere for quite some time now, and the U.S. government has been putting a lid and covering up interactions, deaths, and crashes of UFO aircrafts.
There's a whole fleet of them. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. Roger.
Now, whatever that is flying around, it is going very, very fast, and the way that it banked left and right doesn't seem as though it's a traditional jet. But as technology is advancing and innovation has been pushing certain advancements in aviation, is it possible that this is a U.S. entity that has been testing new intergalactic spacecrafts here on Earth? Or is it aliens? Is it life from another planet? Is it not so much advanced technology as we see aliens may or may not have? Who knows? And just to double down on this a little bit further.
First, our witnesses for joining us today. Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
Do you believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security?
Yes. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work, you're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes.
Anyone been murdered that you would that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question.
Absolutely.
Directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
What percentage of UAP sightings, in your belief, go unreported by our pilots?
I would estimate we're somewhere near 5% reporting, perhaps.
So like 95% basically don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
All right, family. That's your news for this week. Be one.